Let's take a quick look at what makes customers unhappy, then focus on avoiding those situations. Customers can become unhappy when they must wait a long time for someone to help them, or they receive no communication while their car is in the shop. They also become unhappy when the person waiting on them is not properly trained on the product or service being provided. The quality of the product or service also has a big impact on customer dissatisfaction, as does being passed around from person to person to have their questions answered. Building trust is a big part of keeping customers happy, so they expect any commitments made to be fulfilled. If commitments are not fulfilled as promised, it creates a very negative image in the customer's mind. Customers expect their vehicle to be fixed right the first time and can lose faith in a shop when they have to come back to have something corrected. This is one of the reasons not to make a quick diagnosis in the service drive. Another source of customer dissatisfaction can be the facility opening and closing times. If customers perceive a shop is inconvenient, they will go somewhere else for service. If customers feel the people they interact with are rude or indifferent, they may find another shop and even pay more to be treated with respect. Customers also want to be heard. Not paying attention or not listening to what the customer needs can be a major source of conflict and dissatisfaction. Many customers become unhappy when they aren't told the total cost of a repair or service. Hidden or additional costs can lead to customers going elsewhere. That's why it's a good practice to provide your customers with a total cost, including taxes and fees. Any unresolved previous issues can tarnish the customer's image of a shop, especially if the customer feels they were treated unfairly. Customers like dealing with someone they know and trust. If that person is not available, they may decide to take their business elsewhere. So now that we know some of the reasons customers become dissatisfied, let's focus our attention on how to keep them satisfied instead. The first step in keeping your customers happy is managing their expectations. During the pre-visit appointment setting and write-up processes, always set realistic expectations for your customers. Let them know how long the work is going to take and what's involved. Prioritize work so it can be easily completed when needed. When setting customer expectations, always under-promise but over-deliver. In other words, provide cost and time estimates you know can be fulfilled and give your customer value they didn't expect. For example, if you let a customer know their vehicle will be ready by noon, but the work can be finished by 10, you can notify the customer early so they can have their vehicle back sooner than expected. Sometimes the opposite happens, so be ready to quickly advise your customer of any changes to the original cost and time estimates. This way you can reset their expectations. Remember to always provide as much information as possible so you keep your customer happy. Most of your customers expect to have their vehicle repaired quickly when a perceived problem comes up. Quite often, the concern the customer mentioned during write-up cannot be duplicated by the technician, so the repair order is marked as No Problem Found or NPF. When this happens, it's very frustrating for the customer as they probably had to rearrange their busy schedule to bring the vehicle in. Remember that technicians should also not document a problem if no problem exists, so it's best to explain to the customer the steps taken to confirm there is no existing problem with the vehicle. During the write-up, do you think the technician is going to be able to diagnose the cause from what the customer said? If not, see if the customer has time for you to ride along with them. Always have the customer drive so they can duplicate the conditions that cause the concern. Once they can point out the concern, be sure to note the conditions such as speed, road conditions, and any other items you think may help the technician. Always try to have the customer duplicate their concern prior to writing the repair order. For drivability or intermittent issues, it may be necessary for the customer to leave the vehicle overnight. Be sure to set the customer's expectations for any next steps before they leave your shop. Once the diagnosis and MPI are complete, be sure you contact your customer by the time you promised during write-up. If necessary, give your customer updates as often as needed to keep them informed or to ask questions. Make certain you have a diagnosis for their main concern, as well as any recommendations on how to correct the concern. If a repair is needed, have complete job prices ready for each item and use the RIM method to present total package pricing. To keep your customers happy, avoid leaving messages or texts that simply say, "Call me back." Take time to leave them a message with details and pricing as needed, so they can make an informed decision when they call you back. This helps get their vehicle completed by the time promised. Providing customers with a means to have their questions answered is another way to keep your customer happy. Whenever an employee is not available, create a team approach to helping customers. This is especially true if a customer calls to inquire about their vehicle or when they come to pick it up. Review all work completed with another employee, then provide your customer with the name of that person. Be sure you also take time to review the details of all costs and fees with your customer before they arrive. Provide customer coverage for after-hours drop-off and pickup so any questions can be answered and the customer's contact information confirmed. Customer coverage should also be available during any extended hours when an employee may not be available. If a customer arrives during lunchtime, be sure someone else in your department is able to answer their questions. The same is true if you're going to be on vacation and a customer is dropping off or picking up their vehicle and you're who they prefer to see. Customers always feel more comfortable when they know who to talk to when they arrive. There are several best practices to help you keep your customers happy. Best practices are items and processes proven successful when used under certain conditions. Select the button to review the best practices list. Compare the list with the processes you currently use at your shop. Use the column on the left to check off the ones you already use. The ones you didn't mark represent areas of opportunities for you to improve in.